Thank you very much for joining this session, and thank you very much in advance for dropping your phones and switching them to no voice and sound and whatever is needed to avoid distraction for you and for us in this session. The next hour, I have the honor to talk to you about SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 Plus, the future of operating system. 15 Plus means you might be aware that we have a SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 already in the market, and the Plus includes everything what comes in the near future. So we struggled with adding too many numbers on the first slide. My name is Kai Dubke. I'm Senior Product Manager responsible for SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 and beyond, where no one was yet before. So I'm the one who has to polish the crystal bowls, yeah, and make sure that we fit into what's needed for the future. With me, I have Frédéric Rosat. He will then present the technical details of this after I will have done some overview on level setting to get you on board with this topic. So before starting, pretty simple question. Who is using SLAS? All right, cool. Okay. Who is using SLAS 8 or below? Okay, thank you very much for this. Who is using SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 9? Okay, okay, we might talk about this. 10? Okay, 11? 12? 15? Okay, cool. Thank you. So that we have an idea who is already in the room. Let's go into this. As you are aware, we have this pretty nice full stack of products and offerings we do. And of course, we are now focusing on this pretty small area on the bottom, the operating system. Okay? And please forgive me when I sometimes say SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, because that is my home area usually. But what we are talking about in principle is about the platform we do. And we will see this on a few slides in a bit, what that means. As said, Frédéric will go into the technical details, which means I have the duty to bring you some of the message and marketing stuff. So, but it will be pretty short. You will get the slides later for download, but take photos when you want. Finally, you can read the slide on your own, but I want to go on the 3 bullets on the bottom. What our goal is when we do our SUSE Linux Enterprise platform and products is, first of all, increase uptime. Makes it more available in whatever means that is. That could be also faster installation because earlier available, but when it runs, make sure it runs stable and rock solid. The second thing is improve your operational efficiency. Help you to give you the tools needed to operate such a stack. And we all know, and I have seen the hands, some of you run more than one version, and I believe you run more than one application on top. You have a huge soul of systems running. So every bit we can give you to make it easier is something which helps you make a better business, an easier setup, a better administration. And the last thing is about innovation, accelerate innovation. I mean, SUSE stands for innovation. Yeah, we created Enterprise Linux in the beginning, and we do a lot of stuff which sometimes people feel, oh, that is pretty fresh, but that is our way to go into. When we look into SUSE Linux Enterprise, then let me start with an overview where we are. So I ask about the numbers, so you are pretty aware that we have different versions. And on this slide, we have the 3 current versions listed. So if you are not listed on this slide because you run older versions, please seek some discussion with our people about this, what we can do to help you. So on top, we start with SUSE Linux Enterprise 11. Just a little small thingy. On the top right side, you see a node GE, general end. If you are not aware of this, then let's make you aware of this, that 11 is running out of general maintenance and support now. Not now in the sense, literal sense, but these days, okay? So if you're still running 11, we have an offering for you, the so-called long-term service pack support. I will come to this in a bit. But feel free to contact us to talk about how to make sure your environment is running in a supported, stable way moving forward. So the other major code stream we have is a code stream 12, where you see we already have a service pack 4 out. We are looking forward to a service pack 5. There was a dedicated session on the code stream of 12. So if you're interested in this, feel free to download the pages or join the second session of this slot. And of course, we are talking about 15 and 15 plus, which means we have released SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 as platform summer last year. And we are looking forward Service Pack 1 this summer again. So that is the reason for us that in this session we will sometimes mix the SP1 already into the stream to avoid that we have to repeat the complete session, one for 15 and one for SP1, okay? So when we are talking about Lifecycle and long-term service pack support is one part of it. That is the Lifecycle picture, how it looks for 15. And when you are aware of 12, then no surprise, there is not a huge difference to this. We have a total Lifecycle of 13 years, from the beginning on the left, when we release the product, till the end, including the long-term service pack support. We do support updates to the next version, and we do support updates to the version after the next version. That means for 15, we will support 15 to 15 SP1 and 15 to 15 SP2, right? So even it's not available yet, that is our commitment to make this available. That is similar to what we have done with 12. When we release a new service pack, and I already said you can expect the service pack 1 in summer pretty soon, yeah, then we start a 6-month overlap period. And that is for the regular server product for desktop and something like that, where we give customers a chance to migrate to the next service pack, yeah, still fully supported, and then move ahead with the next service pack. Some customers might feel they need more time to make something happen. For those customers, we offer a so-called long-term service pack support, that is an LTSS, that is an additional to purchase option, where we give customers up to 3-year support on a given service pack. So think about with a 3-year delay, so then you can skip service packs, and that is for some customers seems to be a good idea. Just in case, if someone of you is using HPC or SAP specific flavor of SUSE Linux Enterprise, there we have some special options for longer service pack overlap already bundled in. It's not part of this slide. Just in case, we plan at the moment for 5 service packs, sorry. The 6th service pack is something we might decide later when we are coming to the 5th service pack. Honestly, I told you about the crystal ball I'm working with. Yeah, you could imagine that when I go to something like 2023, 24, the crystal ball becomes a little bit cloudy already today, and I'm glad about input. There was a question?
Well, what you just said conflicts with what we've heard in other sessions. What about SPOS?
Yeah, SPOS, so the question is about other products. So LTSS is something we offer for SUSE Linux Enterprise Server and the desktop. So for SUSE Linux Enterprise SIP, yeah, and for the HPC offering we have bundled a special version of this into, we call the enhanced service pack overlap period, because it's already part of the product. Okay? So if you run into this and you feel you need more input, feel free to catch me after the session. All right, so there's a principle we have, and that is a tick-tock approach. You know, Intel has used this in the past as well, so it's well known in the industry. Finally, we say every second service pack, we do some bigger stuff, and the other one, we sometimes call it a maintenance update or so, but we focus on keeping stuff running, improving what we already have, okay? So for most customers, important piece is that every second service pack get a kernel update, okay? So GA, SUSE Linux Enterprise 15, got a new kernel, SP1 keeps a kernel, SP2, the second after, gets a new kernel, which of course is important for hardware support and something like that, and sometimes also performance issues also. Just to make you aware that we are doing this. Okay, now coming to what drives us to do some stuff. So when we look into the history of operating systems, then in the past there was a monolithic approach. I mean, think about left of what is on the screen, yeah? There was a time where for every server a specific OS was built. And I'm glad that we are not there for a long time. So then in between, the middle pillar is about we did some modules, modularization. Finally, that already started when we did the desktop as a product in the beginning, right? So we splitted it up for server and for desktop. Then we did other stuff for SAP, real-time, and something like that, right? And now today's we see, and that is the right pillar, we see a somewhat split approach to the market. I'll come to this on the next slide, where on the one side, we see a more flexible modular approach to make sure you can pick the stuff you need to run your applications and your data center. And on the other side, you could say the opposite of it, to create products which are fit for a single purpose only, like the SUSE Container as a Service platform, which has only one workload available, containers. Of course, in a container you can run a lot, but you can do nothing else with a platform. And that is on this slide listed. On the left side, the so-called traditional infrastructure, yeah, like every data center. And I believe everyone who say, yeah, I run a SUSE Linux Enterprise server also uses this, right? Where we have a generic operating system. It's a multi-purpose operating system. It has benefits because as it is generic, you can do a lot of different things on it. It has some not so much advantages when it comes to optimization, because we don't know what you are running on. How can we optimize it? On the other side, when you look on the right side, the software-defined infrastructure is often defined by single-purpose operating systems. There are products available, solutions available, whatever the people call it, just running one specific workload. The goal we have when we did and created 15 was to support both. Because when I ask customers, do you need traditional data center, and do you need container stuff, or do you need storage, and whatever other topic we have, usually the answer is all of that, right? And I mean, that is a challenge for us. There's a talk about this by Raj, given one was already happened, but tomorrow is another talk at 3:15, so feel free to join this talk about this so-called multimodal and accelerate transformation in this area. Okay, now coming to 15. And as already said, with 15, we designed it in a way that we can address both areas. And just in case someone looks into the colors, we are still green. The only problem is we are running out of the number of green shades. Yeah, so that is the reason there's no link to other companies or so, just saying. Okay, so, and we can do so because we have a common code base. Means whatever we do to create our products, be it the traditional products on the left side, be it software-defined products like Container as a Service platform, SUSE Enterprise Storage, SUSE OpenStack Cloud or so, we run this up out of a common code base. Think about a kernel. Every of these products need one kernel, right? So the goal is to have one kernel running, which is the same kernel on most of all of these platforms, just to give you really what you want. And when we are talking about SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 Plus, what does it mean? This is just a simplified portfolio. We have server desktop products, starting with a traditional SUSE Linux Enterprise server, but also the flavors for SAP, flavor for high-performance computing, a desktop, and so on. We have, on top of that, extensions for high availability and geo-clustering. We have live patching in it, and we have also a so-called workstation extension to give customers who want to have a technical workstation, which is often a mix of server and workstation technology, the right options. And you can see in green, there's something listed as well. So in the SUSE Linux Enterprise area, with 15 SP1, we will also offer again a real-time product. Someone using real-time in this room? Okay. A real-time offering. And we also add now the long-term service pack support for 15 GA, because we are now starting the period, the transition period. And because of the model we have for 15, within the package, within the installation, we will come to the details later, we also included the SUSE Linux Enterprise point of service offerings, as well as the SUSE Manager offerings, so on the installer, but that is a separate topic. So when we go into the market or into planning for our products, we set a couple of themes. And the themes for 15 are the same themes as for 15 SP1. We have some new additions to that, but go into this in a bit. So first of all, and I taught you already about the multi-mode approach. So create something which allows you to run the platform the same way, the same tools and something like that. Doesn't matter if you're in the traditional data center or if you are in the software-defined area, right? We worked on ease of use. I mean, you could say that is the story of SUSE for 25 years and more. Yeah, make it easier to use the stuff, right? It's not capable of mind reading, yeah, and I hope it will never be. But my demand to engineer is make it easier. Every day, think about what is something we can where we can make it easier for customers, and we have made an easier search tool available. Mostly for those people who are not that familiar with what we are doing, to make it easier for them to find what they need in the system. We have a so-called unified installer that is one of the real big changes with SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 compared to 12, where we say we give you a single media where you can install all the products starting from this point. And all the products with SP1 then will include SUSE Manager and point of service products as well. Community to enterprise, that is unique to SUSE, by the way, yeah, because we hear customers telling us, my project team used OpenSUSE, the Leap, Tumbleweed stuff to create a project, and now I want to run it in the data center. What shall I do? And the traditional answer was, drop it, rebuild, make everything fresh. With community to enterprise, with Leap to SLAS, as we call it, you can migrate an existing OpenSUSE system into a SUSE Linux Enterprise system and make it fully supported. We have this also at the booth, so if you want to see this in live, then we can show it to you as well. And then two topics for SP1, and we will come to technical details, or Frederick will come to it. The quarterly updates, first of all, that is a way, when you think about how you deal with downloads today, usually you download the released version, and then after a while you install it, and you get tons of updates, because we don't stand still, yeah? And we heard customers asking, can we not get this in a way that we get stabilized versions, something like that. And we do the quarterly updates, which are just a dump, you could think about, on the specific time of all updates. It's not a service pack or so. It doesn't has really new features or so in. It really sums up what was done till a specific date, like a silver bullet. Yeah. So, and the last line, and there we have slides on, is a transactional update. Who knows about SUSE Linux Enterprise Container as a Service platform? All right, quite a few. So, and there you are on transactional stuff already. So, and we are now looking into to make this available as an option to the traditional server business. Okay, so but we will come to this, or Frederick will come to this. All right, so hand over to Frederick.
Thank you. Thank you, Kai. So, as Kai mentioned, let's go into details. What's new in 15, in SLI 15, and what about modules? So, as we saw, a lot of you are already familiar with SUSE Linux Enterprise 11 and 12. So you are used to have something like one image per product. So we had, for instance, one image for the server, one image for the desktop, one image for each extension, high availability, etc. And with SLI 12, we created some modules in addition to that. Web and scripting modules, for instance. And we also had the SDK, Software Development Kit. But we went further down the road with 15 because we felt that having different ISO image to deal with can be very complex, especially now that it might have worked when we had only basically one or two products, but now that we have SUSE Manager, we have SUSE Linux, we have CASP, we have OpenStack offering, etc. So it has a lot of different products. So we are trying to bring them all together under a unified installer, which will be able to install most of our product, and we will add other products over time. And we also try to get rid of a big ISO image with everything on it by default, and instead splitting packages by topic, by module, what we call by module. And with that also, we kind of dissolves the SDK, which used to be a separate ISO, into each module, so that if you need to develop for a specific packages, when you have a packages in a module, you will have the corresponding development package with it. Here we have the list of the module more in a graphical way, and then we'll go more into details. But you can see that for a product, you get more or less modules. With the server, so SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, you get the base, of course, base system, desktop application, basic desktop application. You get the legacy module for packages that we plan to support for a shorter period of time than the entire life cycle of SLI 15, the server application modules, and so on. For the desktop product, you get, in addition, the workstation extension. HA, of course, you get the high availability modules, etc., etc. And we have also additional modules like Python module, I come to that later, Python 2 modules, public cloud container, and so on. So this is a list now a bit more detailed. So I went already a bit through it. What is interesting is, as I said, the SDK is now gone. We have a development tools module, which is available for all products, but also it's not mandatory for a lot of things. You might not even need this module. What else? For SLES4SAP, of course, we have a SAP application module. We have Package Hub, of course. I think most of you are aware of Package Hub. Package Hub is something which is pretty unique on the market. and we have improved it tremendously with SLE15. I'll come to that later. With Service Pack 1, which will be released this summer, as Kai mentioned, we have changed some little things about Python 2. Python 2, as you might be aware, is end of life by the Python community. They are advocating everybody to switch to Python 3. But we know that I think in this audience, a lot of people have applications using Python 2, which are not yet migrating to Python 3. So we have made sure with Service Pack 1 to move this Python 2 support into a dedicated module, which will have a lifecycle shorter than the entire SLE15 lifecycle. Transactional server, Kai mentioned it. I will go more into detail later. It's a technology preview for Service Pack 1. Real-time and SUSE Manager, I already mentioned it. Package Hub. As I said, Package Hub in SLE15 is really different to what you might have seen with SLE12 Package Hub. In SLE12, we had about 1,000 packages available with Package Hub. In SLE15, you have slightly a bit more packages available, which is like almost 9,000 packages. How we were able to do that? Basically, we are leveraging the work from the community, which is done on OpenSUSE Leap, because Leap is based on the SUSE Linux Enterprise code base, plus a lot of packages coming from the community, but we know they are working on Leap. So we are able to basically recompile them thanks to the OpenSUSE Build service, and then make them available for you, our customer, as community-supported packages through the Package Hub, which means that with SLE15 plus Package Hub, you have basically the same offering in terms of packages as on an OpenSUSE Leap 15. This is pretty unique. So with modules, we already heard some, we got some feedback during the SUSE Linux Enterprise 12 times that, oh, you have put some things in this module or this module, but I didn't enable it. So where did you put, I don't know, PHP 5? We got the question very often because it was not on the ISO image of SLES and other things like that. So we heard you, and we have created a zipper command, a zipper plugin, which is called Search Packages, which is allowing you easily to search where packages are available, in which modules they are available, without enabling modules in the first place. So, and it's really important with SLE15, because with SLE15, because everything is a module, if you create a system which is very basic with just a base system module, and then you are searching for another packages, you might not guess where it's located. So this is leveraging SUSE Customer Center with a set of API, and very easily you can get, oh, I need to enable this module to get these packages, etc. And with SLE15 SP1, we have even gone one step further, and it will be available and integrated in the zipper search command. So you don't even have to think about, oh, zipper search, this package, it doesn't send me anything. So you had, with the GA version of SLE15, you had to use another command. Now it will be able to, basically, it's not available in your repo. Do you want to search on SCC to know on which module? So let's take an example. So this is, I've put a bit of color, but it's what you get from searching on the command line with zipper search. So you want to install Chromium, but you don't know where it is. You zipper search packages Chromium, and then you just get the answer, oh, it's in package hub. We could have done zipper search packages sendnail, and then it would have told you it's in the legacy module. And what's even easier is that the line package hub /15/x8664, it's exactly what you need to tell SUSE Connect which product you want to enable. So you just SUSE Connect the module in question, and then zipper in, and you are set. Easy, very simple. And again, with SP1, you can even forget the search packages. Just do zipper search Chromium, and then you enable your package hub here, and you get Chromium installed very easily. So this was about ease of use. Let's talk about our unified installer and how we manage updates. Our unified installer, as I said, is set to replace all the, maybe not 20 different ISO images that we have, although maybe if we add all of them, maybe we end up with 20. But the idea is, think of it as kind of the SUSE portal, the portal to SUSE product. You have a system, you want to install a SUSE product, you don't know, again, which one, or at least you don't have to know which one when you get the unified installer. You just get this ISO image, start it, and then you get asked which product do you want to install, and then we do the rest for you. This is still available, so it's leveraging either SUSE Customer Center, SCC, or if you use our proxy offering, SMT or RMT. And of course, if you use some disconnected or offline system or even hybrid solution, or the installer can deal with that. Which means that with the unified installer, you can install on SLE 12 GA SLES for SAP, SLED, HPC, live patching, HA, and with SP1, you will be also able to install SUSE Manager Point of Services, and SLE RT, real time. But we know that some of you have security requirements which said that a system, your data center doesn't have direct access to the outside. So you might want to have a media, an additional media, we call it a package DVD often, which contain all the packages of all our products, and then you can use that if you don't want to use the online way of installing things. So you still use the unified installer and an additional media for that. So, as I said, we support many ways of installation online. So you boot a unified installer. So it will be boot a unified installer for almost all the cases. You boot the unified installer and you use SCC with the record you have, or RMT or SMT if you have those products already running in your data center, or even SUSE Manager. You don't need to download this second big, huge DVD which contains all the packages. So to give you an estimate, the unified installer media is about 700 megabytes. So it could almost fit to a CD, but we are not trying to go this fast because always 650, it's a bit, it depends. So we don't try to do that. Install it on a DVD if you use still physical media. Disconnected, then you would use, of course, you would not connect to the SCC, but instead either RMT, SMT, with two systems, one outside and one inside your data center, or through the manager. Offline, then you would use a package media or package DVD that you make available either as a physical media or internally on a server, still booting the unified installer. Hybrid, you use just, again, you copy everything on a server and make it available internally in your data center. And of course, we didn't forget people who don't want to install using the installer, but use more something like images that they want to deploy immediately. So it's still available with build service and QE. So I talked about installing. Let's talk about updates. We support two types of updates. Online and offline. I will come back to the third way later, but basically online is when we say online updates, because yeah, it might be used differently, but online updates mean your system is still running and you apply updates on it while it's running. And we do that only for service pack migration, which means that in the same code base, we support that. So from 15 GA to 15 service pack 1, when it will be released, you can do that with online updates. We don't support online updates when jumping from a code stream to another, which means that in that case, we use offline updates because the change to the system are so deep that it's not safe to do it while the system is running. We need to do that in a safe environment, which is not your install system, which is our unified installer, which is able to handle the offline updates, which we mean you boot the unified installer in update mode, and then from there you are able to upgrade, for instance, from a 12 to 15 or from 11 to 15. I will come back on that later. This is used for major updates. And transactional updates, as I said, and this is my next slide, so I will go very quickly on here, but transactional updates is another way of handling updates. It's an atomic way of handling updates where as long as the system is running, no change are visible. Transactional updates. This is something which will be available with Service Pack 1. It will still be a tech preview, which means no support, but we want to hear from you. Please test it, give us feedback on how it helps you. If you are familiar with CASP platform and with underlying technology, microOS, this is more or less the microOS technologies which are now available on SUSE Linux Enterprise server. What does it mean? It means that your root file system will be always consistent, even if you run an updates. RPM updates will be atomic. But to get those updates live, you will have to reboot your system. So of course, using transactional updates, it's not really something you would like to do with live patching, because live patching, it's to run your kernel unmodified, but still get updates. But this is for workloads where basically rebooting the server is not really a problem because you have other ways of handling the workload. but you want to be sure that your server doesn't get broken by an update which goes wrong, which doesn't apply properly, which breaks in the middle. How we do that? We leverage Btrfs, because of course all of you are using Btrfs on SLE12 and SLE11, right? We set the root file system as read-only. We use snapshots to apply updates, and then when we know that updates were applied properly, we just flip a switch in Btrfs and tell Btrfs for the next boot, use the other snapshot where all the updates were applied. As I said, available in 15SP1. It will be in a dedicated modules with a system role available to basically set the system right for you. And again, we welcome your feedback on this. And just to mention it, Kai already said it, it will be optional. So we are not switching to transactional update by default and mandatory, don't worry. You will not be forced to reboot your server to apply updates. Update paths, as I said, quickly, from SLE12 Service Pack 4 to 15, either GA or SP1, you will have to do an offline updates. You will have to boot the unified installer. From 11 SP4 to 15 GA or Service Pack 1, you will also have to use offline updates. You might even need to do some manual change on the system because it's such a huge jump from the past to now that some configuration might need to be tweaked manually, and even if our unified installer is very smart, it's not as smart as admins. But our recommendation is please, if you are in this case 11 to 15, try to reinstall. Why? Simply because if you do something like 11 to 15 jump, you are losing all the benefit of the change that we did for new install in 15, like layout of the file system. I will go there later, but you are not leveraging all the power of SLE15 by an upgrade from such an old code stream. But we support it. And from SLE15 to GA to SP1, sorry, you have two options, either online updates, so you can apply that directly on your running system, or offline updates using the installer. We talked about how we install the system, but what's in it? What has changed? What can you expect in SLE15 and SLE15 SP1? First, how many of you are aware of NVDIMM or new names, persistent memory? I see some hands. So this is something which is starting to be available on the market. Basically, it's making the availability of speed of memory with the persistence of storage, which means that with NVDIMM, you are able to get a system booting and running extremely quickly. With SLE15 and with SLE12 SP3 and SP4, we have worked with Intel and SAP on bringing Intel product, so Intel Optane DC, persistent memory. We have support for that. It's available in some HP server. But what's interesting is how it helps for workload. So I will not go into details, but just the number are very interesting. For a 6 terabyte database with SAP HANA. You go, if you have to reboot your server because something went wrong, you have a 12.5 times improvement in startup. And we are comparing from SSD, so it's not from hard disk, traditional hard disk, rotating hard disk, but no, from SSD to persistent memory. Which means that you can be up and running very fast. So this is very important. So from almost an hour to 4 minutes. Not bad. And yes, I forgot, we are the only ones supporting this at the moment. openJDK, with SLE15, we ship openJDK 1.8. We will also ship, starting with 15 SP1, openJDK 11, which is a long-term support version of openJDK. And we will provide it for as long as needed, and then we will switch or provide in 15 SP4, so in 2022, we have still a bit of time, the next long-term support version, and again, same with SP5. So we are working with the openJDK community to make sure that you get long-term support version of openJDK in the server product. Toolchain, Kai already mentioned it, but yeah, we have kernel 4.12, which is a kernel for GA and for SP1. For SP2, we will jump. GCC 7 as system compiler, but we will provide more recent version of GCC in dedicated modules for your own development, if needed. OpenSSL, we switched to 1.1 by default, but 1.0 is still available in the legacy module, but not for the entire lifetime of SLE15. Scripting languages, we jump to Ruby 2.5, PHP 7, Perl 5.24, Python 3.6. Here it's important. So we are still shipping in SLE15 GA Python 2 as part of the base system module. With Service Pack 1, we are moving it to a dedicated module called Python 2 module. If you are migrating from 15 to 15 SP1, your system will automatically enable these Python 2 modules, but default installation of SP1 will not have this module enabled automatically. GNOME will be is 3.26, and HA, a lot of improvements in Oak, in DRBD multimode, and RAID 10, cluster RAID 10, Aztec preview. Also, we are changing our LDAP server. We are switching from OpenLDAP to 389DS. We are also switching from NTPD to Crony. We are switching to a lot of things, a lot of new things. SUSE Firewall, we are putting that back, and we are switching to FirewallD, which is much more dynamic. And Wayland is available for SLED only and workstation extension, not for SLES, and is default for SLED. I talked about why it might be important for you to do fresh install of 15 compared to offline updates. Why? Because we have improved our layout for Btrfs. If you have installed SLE11 and SLE12, you might have noticed we have a lot of submodules in /var. We have simplified that tremendously. Now we just have one submodule for var, which is way easier to handle. And also with SP1, if we use Btrfs for home directory, you will be able to have dedicated subvolume per user, per home user, which allow you to use Snapper per user. Quarterly update, we mentioned it. To ease system installation, every quarter, starting with SP1, we will provide additional images where all the updates are integrated in the system, in our unified installer in the package DVD. And that will be my last slide. 15SP1, we are also helping you because user experience is what's important. It's pretty important. We have been supporting Bcache for a lot of time since Li12 SP1. How many of you know about Bcache? A few. So Bcache is basically allowing you to create cache using SSD for your rotating hard drive pretty easily. And even if we support it for quite some time, you had to set it up manually. And with SP1, you will be able to set it up from the installer or using YAST partitioner and AutoYAST. So our developers have created a lot of blog posts on this new feature, so feel free to look at that. And with that, I think we are opening the floor for questions.
Thank you very much for this details. Okay, questions. Thank you very much for being here. Have a nice day. See you at the party.